Am I an idiot for refusing to walk my daughter down the aisle? My daughter, who is 26, and I haven't spoken in years. When she was 15, we found out she wasn't my biological daughter and my wife had cheated on me years ago with a friend. As it turns out, this so-called friend was suddenly interested in playing dad. My wife and I divorced. My daughter learned the truth and I told her I still loved her no matter what. Of course, she was interested now in getting to know her biological father, and while it hurt, I tried to accept that. She started pulling away from me after that. Even when trying to still do things together as a family, she was no longer interested. The last straw was when she was 20 and living at my house. We were arguing because she'd dropped out of her college courses, hadn't done anything for 3 months, and was mad because I told her she either needed to go to school or work if she wanted to stay here for free. She told me I'm not her real dad, so stop pretending like I am and she'll just go stay with her real father. That broke me honestly, but I told her if that's how she really feels, then there's really nothing left to say between us. And she did move out to go live with him. I was depressed for a very long time and drank so much. My son, male 24, was my only reason to keep moving forward. For the first couple years I reached out to my daughter. She wanted no contact. I learned to accept that and move on. It helped me find more peace in my life. My son stopped talking to her for a while over this and was angry with her. They still chat sometimes, which doesn't bother me at all. Through him I learned her biological father died in October 2019. Also that she's engaged. She reached out to me. Firstly, that she knows that we haven't talked in a while but wants to ask me if I'd be willing to walk her down the aisle. After a pretty long message about how much she hurt me in the past with her actions, I told her no. She didn't want me to be her father anymore, so I learned to no longer view her as my daughter. This turned into a fight between us because according to her it's not her fault she wanted to know her real dad. And I agreed with her it's not, but what was her fault was how she treated me ever since. In my mind I know if he hadn't passed we wouldn't even be speaking right now. It ended with telling her I hope she enjoys her wedding but I want no part of it or her life. My son told me she's ranting to my family that I'm ruining her day and she thought parents are supposed to love their kids unconditionally. My brothers seem to think now that I am being an idiot and this is my chance to be in her life again. But I have no interest in that. Still seems everyone has a strong opinion on it that I'm making it difficult for my daughter to have the wedding she wants when it would mean a lot to her. My son is on my side but the comments are still wearing me down, and just for the sake of my sanity, am I being an idiot? Update. Thank you for your support, especially those fellow parents who reached out in my messages. Advice, judgment and suggestions on what to do about my family. It took sending a mass text to everyone who wouldn't leave me alone about this. Took me some time to think of what to write and clear my head from everything. The reminder of everything that I did over the years to try to be in her life and where that all ended. How detrimental it was to my mental health. They all remember what it was like. How much it put me in a dark place that took lots of therapy and the need to be there for my son to get out of. My brother called me after. He apologized for the way he was pushing this. We had a much longer conversation. I told him my decision to remain out of her life was final, so he respected that. Since no one else has said anything, I'm hoping that means everybody else got the message. Best thing some suggested here was blocking out the others saying things in her. It wasn't doing my mind any good. I spoke to her over the phone to talk about the way she's been behaving online and the others in the family. I apologized for how things happened and wish she didn't have to deal with these life-altering moments at such a young age. She made her choice for the past 6 years just the way I have. Even asked her to be honest with herself and answer, not to me, if her biological father hadn't passed, would we be here right now speaking to each other? She didn't say anything, but that's fine. It's a question for her to honestly answer to herself. Like I did before, I told her to enjoy her wedding and hope it's a lovely, healthy marriage. And this door to our relationship is closed. I hope she could find peace with that and enjoy her life the way I have. Conversation ended shortly after that. She didn't say if she would stop saying anything about me online, so I just made sure to block her and others on her mom's side of the family to make sure there's no more bother. This is the peace of mind I needed and glad to have taken up this advice. Not an idiot. Honestly, having just read through the original and now the update, I have to tell you that you sound like the kind of person anyone should be thankful to have as a dad. She totally cut off her nose to spite her face, and now she's feeling the repercussions. Let her stew in her own selfishness, and you go have a great life with your son. Not an idiot. She had 2 men willing to step up and love her as a daughter. She took the decision to choose between them, when it wasn't even a thing she needed to do. I'm glad you fixed things with your family, and I hope your son can understand why the relationship with his sister was beyond repair. Was she wrong for treating her father this way? Let me know in the comments. Would I be the idiot if I fired a kid because his mother is harassing me? I, late 20 seconds, run a department in a startup and hired a few student workers, aged 17 to 21, to conduct classes. He's not great. He shows up late, unprepared, but when addressed he started to improve a lot. Still not as good as the others, but he gets the job done. His mom, however, she knows me through a mutual friend and she has constantly been emailing me, asking why she doesn't have access to the internal systems of the company so she can check on his work, sending me voice notes of her screaming at him after he forgets about meetings, sending me messages to excuse him from these classes he's supposed to conduct last minute because she didn't finish up her rounds, or even when he just forgot. The last incident was when he showed up 25 minutes late. Didn't even notify us. He knew I'd be out for the day and proceeded to bill for more time than he was there for. I wrote on his timesheet that he was overbilling and that he needed to inform us if he wasn't going to make it on time. A voice note followed, screaming, "Mommy dearest saw the note I made." Screaming at him, and I just can't anymore. I feel like a complete butthole firing him over his mother, and I know his behavior justifies him being fired. But he's been working really hard on improving, and I can see the difference. Edit: to answer all the questions, I've spoken to both of them to cool it down with her behavior. I've blocked the mom. She contacts me through his account, so she had access to our systems anyway, which is already an issue. Luckily, I've ensured he has no access to any systems with info on the minors taking the courses. This could have opened a whole can of worms. We hired the students because the model is focused on teaching students. We have kids that go through the program and can lead full classes at the age of 15. It's made for low-cost communities so kids can be taught how to be leaders. I love my job. It has changed so many lives and gotten teens to bloom. We have a handful of paid instructors for when the interns, the kids paying cents for the programs, can't make it. Legally, I'm good to go, thus making this and would I be the idiot problem. HR is fully supportive of my decision as well as the higher-ups. They are actually encouraging it but gave me the final call. Update: so, sad update. He got fired. We took the time and HR spoke to him about his conduct and performance. He admitted to slacking and promised to keep his mom under control. She quickly deleted all the messages on Facebook she sent to me to remove a trace thereof, but the emails remain. He promised to keep everything up to standard and work as hard as possible. The focus was on his quality of work. His mother was mentioned but just as an afterthought of appropriate work conduct. He then proceeded to amaze us for a total of 5 days before going back into his old habits again and being completely useless and even aggressive towards other team members, making slight mistakes. He even charged X for the amount of time for a quarter of the quality of work the other team members produce. So his 2-week probation ended after 9 days. I hope his mom never does this again. But all in all, his work ethic is what got him fired in the end. Not an idiot. Claiming you worked more than you did is wage theft. I'd have fired him the first time he did that. The other things are secondary. Not an idiot. Mom comes across a helicopter parent that probably took her piloting lessons a little late in life. She apparently didn't stick the landing with the lessons about ethics and responsibility when the kid was younger, and now she's seeing he's a bit irresponsible and trying to overcompensate. Should he have fired the kid sooner? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for moving out against my parents' wishes? I, female 18, have several motives for moving out. 1. I have issues with my dad. He fits the bill of a narcissist. He nitpicks minor details, controls all aspects of my life, friends, relationships, screen time. We have no privacy, constantly checks our phones, and says extremely hurtful things. I've tried talking to him and my mom about it, but things never change. 2. Religion. My parents are Christians and extremely conservative. They want their kids to live like them, but they tend to force us and manipulate us into acting according to their religion. 3. Homophobia. I was outed to my parents as a lesbian by a friend years ago. They don't accept me. They said horrible things to me and put me through various programs to try to fix me. The beginning of this year they found out I have a girlfriend. They flipped out. Even though I'm 18, they took my phone and kept me in the house for months. My clothing and haircuts are controlled. Everything I do is monitored and my siblings are recruited to spy on me. They are no longer providing financial support due to my sexuality, so I cannot attend university. I'd be a lot happier if I moved out. I'm emotionally exhausted and my mental health has seriously dipped multiple times. I've tried my best to comply with their wishes respectfully, but sometimes I've failed by insisting on cutting my hair and by lying that I didn't have a GF. Even though I haven't been allowed to see my GF, we've managed to stay in contact. She has offered to let me move into her flat with her. It's on her parents' property and they said they would support me financially until I'm on my feet. I was going to just tell my parents on the day I left, but I realized I'd be an idiot. So I told them. I explained that obviously we were having issues and listed basic motives and that it will probably benefit everyone in the end. They were furious. They told me I'm being selfish and stupid and that if I do this I'll be obliterating the bridge between us. They told me they saw no reason that I'd want to leave and I'm being irrational. My father said I've broken my mother's heart and caused irreparable damage to the family. They told me I'm never going to be successful. They said they won't compromise on anything but I shouldn't leave. And they are apparently incredibly hurt that I'd want to leave it all and said they think I must have told a sob story that they are complete jerks and lied about them, which I told them I only told my girlfriend the straight, basic facts. They are using scare tactics and manipulation to try and get me to stay. I know that moving out in this way is more sudden, but I've done my best to be as prepared as possible and my girlfriend's parents have been advising me. They think my parents are assholes and want me to leave as soon as possible for my own health. My parents' biggest issue is that they don't support me moving in with my girlfriend. Specifically, am I an idiot? Update: I left. I followed feedback saying to not tell my parents exactly when I'm leaving and I told them I was still thinking it over. After an evening of my dad screaming at me about how I was replacing him, I arranged to leave the next morning while he was out of the house. I quickly packed all I owned. After being picked up, my dad called my GF's mom threatening to call the police. We went back to the house and my GF's dad went in alone to talk to him. My dad even had a buddy come to defend him, but he lost the argument and I left. I've never looked back. I've suffered from dissociation and flashbacks, but I'm really healing. I've been going to therapy. My therapist is amazing. My dad is indeed a narcissist and I had symptoms of PTSD. But I've made so much progress. I have low contact with him and strict boundaries. I'm the healthiest and happiest I've ever been. I'm working through things that were buried deep. My GF's parents have taken me in and become the mom and dad I've never had. I've never felt so loved. I have a real family and so much freedom. They are so accepting. Since leaving, I've got a pet gecko, came out as non-binary, and I'm currently planning my GFS engagement with her parents. The ring is ordered. My GF has been so supportive and she's the love of my life. She's currently sitting beside me and teared up reading my last post. I also reconnected with my grandparents and aunts. They disliked my dad passionately, and I'm going to go there to attend college and follow my dreams. Immense thank you to everyone who commented on my post. It was a push I needed and I appreciate each one of you. My heart is full. Edit. Thanks for all the support and comments. I feel bad that I can't respond to every single one. But I appreciate all of you. And I should have clarified, I really appreciate the advice that I shouldn't rush my relationship. I am very excited and we are getting engaged soon, but we are definitely only getting married when I'm finished in college and financially stable. I want to be fully prepared before taking that step. Not an idiot. They just want to control you. Leave. Space will be better for you. And if having space doesn't improve their outlook, that means space is even more important for you. Not an idiot. You can't be an idiot for leaving your abusers. And if your parents were reasonable non-abusive parents, they never would have reacted that way to you. An adult deciding that moving out is what is best for you. By the way, just leaving them with no warning does not make you an idiot. It makes you a sensible person who escaped horrible abusers, or her parents manipulating her. Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for deleting my friend's wedding photos in front of them? I'm not really a photographer, I'm a dog groomer. I take lots of photos of dogs all day to put on my Facebook and Instagram. It's my thing if that makes sense. A cut and a photo with every appointment. I very seldom shoot things other than dogs even if I have a nice setup. A friend got married a few days ago and wanting to save money, asked if I'd shoot it for them. I told him it's not really my forte, but he convinced me by saying he didn't care if they were perfect. They were on a shoestring budget and I agreed to shoot it for $250, which is nothing for a 10-hour event. On the day of, I'm driving around following the bride as she goes from appointment to appointment before the ceremony, taking photos along the way. I shoot the ceremony itself, and during the reception I'm shooting speeches and people mingling. I started around 11 a.m. and was due to finish around 7:30 p.m. Around 5 p.m. food was being served and I was told I cannot stop to eat because I need to be a photographer. In fact, they didn't save me a spot at any table. I'm getting tired and at this point kinda regretting doing this for next to nothing. It's also unbelievably hot. The venue is in an old veterans legion and it's like female 110, and there's no AC. I told the groom I need to take off for 20 minutes to get something to eat and drink. There's no open bar or anything. I can't even get water and my 2 water bottles are long empty. He tells me I need to either be a photographer or leave without pay. With the heat, being hungry, being generally annoyed at the circumstances, I asked if he was sure, and he said yes, so I deleted all the photos I took in front of him and took off saying I'm not his photographer anymore. If I was to be paid $250 honestly at that point I would have paid $250 just for a glass of cold water and somewhere to sit for 5 minutes. Was I an idiot? They went right on their honeymoon and they've all been off of social media, but a lot of people have been posting on their wall asking about photos with 0 responses. Update. Immediately after the wedding they went off for their honeymoon. They went to a cottage up north and didn't use social media for a week. At that time they got lots of requests for photos on Facebook and I didn't reply to anyone because, to me, this was done and I didn't want the headache of dealing with the fallback. I don't know a lot of these people, it's their circle of friends, so I thought it was best that they handled it. The bride contacted me when they returned and asked me my side of the story. I don't know when the groom spilled the beans, but he wasn't truthful about it. He told her I had camera problems and lost the photos. I told her plainly what happened and told her that while I felt guilty, it's no way to treat someone doing them a favor. She wasn't in the know about any of this, and asked if there was any way we could mend this. We got to talking and I've agreed to do a reshoot for some photos later in the season. She wants some photos of just them in an outdoors shoot, photos of the rings, some artsy-fartsy shots. And that's it. She offered me the original $250 and I agreed under the condition I bail at word one of crap from either of them. As for the original photos, I offered to bring my SD card to a place that could attempt to recover them, but at their cost, and she declined. Word did get out on social media about some of this and we agreed to sweep it under the rug and try to defuse or play down what happened. Of the few comments I did read, they were wholly against me because the story is twisted with the her camera died narrative the groom spun. I'm upset but not enough to make a big deal of it. None of them even know my name. I did make 2 interesting connections, though the DJ was privy to the situation. He was the person I vented to originally, and he asked if I'd shoot their band at an upcoming event. Additionally, the minister asked if I'd like to shoot some promotional images of his church and choir. Not sure if I'm cut out for anything but pet stuff, but it's nice to have got something out of this ordeal at least. Not an idiot. But what are you doing? I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here. You basically worked many hours at the wedding, did not get a break or any food, and didn't get paid when the groom caused problems. Now you're going to work again for them, for the $250 that was too little before.